Hello everybody and welcome to my module 5 and final reflection for the course. I'm just going to jump right in. Number 1, did I complete the case study option or work with a child with autism? I kind of did a combination of both. I started working with a student with autism that I currently work with the pandemic and being in and out, remote, in person, hybrid, back and forth. I kind of ended with a case study, kind of did a little bit of both. Number 2, what intervention did I select or implement? I selected using visuals as an intervention for his social his social skills goal. So we implemented a sort of visual intervention to where he will self-regulate whenever he feels overwhelmed or anxious. And I put copies of those visual representations that we will use. Was the intervention effective? Why or why not? I believe it will be effective once I actually get to implement it in the classroom. He has been super receptive to using visuals as interventions in the past, and I think this will help in this instance as well. I think whenever I actually get to implement it, it will be a little bit, I will be able to make adjustments to improve results from the intervention, but I'm super excited to actually implement it in the classroom. Which leads on to number 3, was it effective? Why or why not? I believe it will be effective. Number 4, how was your experience with the field experience project? I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed getting to dive into a specific student that I worked with that I think really could use some social skills interventions. I really enjoyed kind of looking back at his history from before I even had him. And I really, really enjoyed it. I really wish that I would have been able to implement it to, full in-person learning if we were in normal classroom settings and such. Kind of was a bummer that we were in the pandemic and we were remote and then hybrid and then in person and then hybrid and back and forth, kind of stunk. And I couldn't implement an intervention like I really, really wanted to. But I'm excited to have it set in stone, have it already planned out now, to where in the future, hopefully in August, whenever we get back to school, I can implement it to my best of abilities. Number 5, what did I learn about the implementation of interventions to address social skills with autism? I got to dive into a bunch of different types of interventions, kind of explore them all. I know some will work better with some students and some will work better for other students, so I'm super excited to try different interventions with different students with autism, because you know how extremely different students with autism are. So I'm really excited to be able to use different interventions for my different students. Number 6, due to COVID-19, many of us were unable to work with a child with autism and their families. We were also unable to implement interventions in the academic environment. Based on my experience with the course, which of the following did I gain from combining coursework with field experience? The number one thing I think I gained was self-confidence and being able to implement these interventions with my students. I was exposed to all of them. So now I think I'm better prepared to, number 1, identify an intervention that'll work well with my students. And then now I'm able to implement it with fidelity and, decide what is going to work best for each student. I think I got a deeper knowledge of interventions of students with autism, specifically in social skills, and I think I have got a lot of students with autism on my caseload, and I think I will be able to implement them with fidelity, and I'm super excited to get to do that in the classroom. And number 7, what are my top 3 takeaways from this course? Number 1, my top takeaway was interventions. I am still a new teacher, so I wasn't aware of all of the different interventions that are out there. So being able to be exposed to those and introduced to those, I'm really excited to be able to introduce those into my classroom. Number 2, the whole student portfolio And the field-based experience project kind of made me decide to dive deep into all of my students with autism and kind of do a student profile on every one of my students, just so I know where they came from, where they're going, you know, all those things. And I think it'll be super beneficial to their interventions in the future. And the third thing that I took away is just how awesome students with autism are. You know, the huge spectrum that they're on, and being able to dive in and get to know those students on an individual basis, and how much it helps me to choose an intervention that'll work best for them. So I'm super excited to use some of these interventions in the future, take them away, and hopefully help them with their social skills in the future and for future students I might have. So I really enjoyed this course, and really excited to dive deeper in.